Welcome to our house. This is our family home that we've been in almost 20 years now. We just love to come home from work and relax here and enjoy our beautiful gardens. And we are thrilled that you guys are going to join us and help us enjoy our gardens.
Yeah, so you are definitely an insider to this whole group. This has been very select group that we invited this to. You had to have an RSVP basically.
Right.
So you've been to garden classes. You got some sort of connection with Waters Garden Center because we don't let people in this. So this is kind of our place to unplug, especially our backyard.
Yeah.
And so the layout of the tour is really going to be how are we doing as a family, as a company here locally? And then the tours, just how do they all look? And so the garden tour is just going to be kind of at the very end. I guess we'll have Q&A at the very end, so you can kind of live Q&A if you want. You can type in that chat bar at the bottom, and you'll jump to the front of the line if you all got Q&A. So we'd love to have you do that. We'll do that all in about 45 minutes or less.
Well, let's get started.
So this is an RSVP only. I mean, we realize who our real customers are. There's a few of you that just really support us more than others. And so that was the invitation that went out. I know a few of you kind of snuck in the back door, and that's okay. We love having you here too, but this is a small group, small audience on purpose.
So we love you guys because you have a relationship with us. You are a supporter of Waters, and that just means a ton.
Yeah. So part of this, the weather kind of threw things off this week. Oh my gosh, you expected 2-3 storms this week, or rain for days. So the gardens are a little drunk with water and stuff. The weather kind of got in the way. We pre-recorded a couple things. So we'll have live Q&A at the end. So kind of stick with us. We're going to get to all your questions as well.
So people in the community come in, they always ask us, how is Waters Garden Center doing? And how is business? How's it been with COVID? Is everything going okay? And you know what? We are doing really, really well. We have been very blessed. We have a great staff. We're in a great community. And we're doing well. And we're continuing to grow.
So COVID has not come into the garden center. We've not seen it hit the staff. We've been really, truly blessed. We're growing. And the staff, they're getting a little tired, but we're sticking together, supporting each other, which is great. And so
we're looking ahead to spring of next year. Because as garden centers owners, we're always looking ahead to spring. So spring 2022, I can't believe I'm saying that.
I know.
March 11th through 13th, we're doing our 60th spring open house, which is crazy. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah, so lots of things going on. Big plans, big intros, we're thinking live remotes. It should be a real party. This year we also made, we're kind of proud of it, we're the top horticultural company to work for in the country. And so this is all the growers, landscapers, retailers, boxes, little guys. We're number one. Waters Garden Center made the top nod because of what we do for our staff. This is our employment base. And so we love our staff, they're part of the family, and we got a top nod for that. And we just made, last month, September, the best practices group. So all the retail garden centers kind of rate each other. And we made the best practice, top 10 kind of garden centers. We're hugely honored to have that.
And people often ask us, have you had a hard time finding people to work at the garden center? Because you see all these help wanted ads everywhere. And we are so grateful that we do not have that issue. We always have people going, are you guys hiring? Are you guys hiring? I would love to work in the garden center.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful place to work. You got to have your muscles in shape. It is a beautiful place.
The staff, they like coming to work. We just like working with each other. We like coming to work. So it's kind of this work-life balance, sin of working the workplace, just a pleasant place. And our customers are great. So you all are great. So we are seeing that trucking costs have gone up a little bit this year. So we've been able to mitigate a lot of that. So bigger trees are harder to find. So we're securing. We just flew up to Portland, Oregon, secured all of our trees. Pottery's been difficult. That Suez Canal thing that happened, that really hiccuped stuff. And so we're starting to get better. We have secured a lot of our inventory for next year, so I think we're good to go for next year. I'm pretty encouraged for next year.
Oh, definitely. So new for 2022, because you went up and toured all the farms. Yeah. And when we go up there as plant people, we're always looking, what's new? Yeah. What do you have that's new? So I think that the one that everybody was most excited about was the flamethrower red bud. And so that one's going to be a really pretty tree, different coloring than you've used to seeing. So that's definitely one. More roses. You know, we've really gone big into roses, and people love to come shop us. We have more roses coming in there. The best, what do they call that? Award winner, first place award winners for the new 2020 will be coming in. And of course, we'll do bigger shrubs, bigger grasses, bigger everything. Bigger,
we've got more non-GMO veggies and herbs, organic stuff. So we found a great supplier of great big grasses, not just these little ones, great big instantaneous ornamental grasses. We're really excited. So the one thing we're really excited about is 2 weeks ago, we had a donation. So we've been helping the community raise funds. So actually we've had a couple food drives. We filled up U-Haul trucks. You guys are so generous. Thank you. But 2 weeks ago we had a Grapes for Good event. So we gave the garden center after hours to a nonprofit, Prescott Frontier Rotary, and they raised, as of this morning, over $108,000. You all did that for our community. The money's going back to helping kids graduate from high school, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, getting a kid a book every month of their life for the first 5 years, so they actually have a library of books in their home, not digital, physical books. All kinds of good are going on. So we're very excited about all of that. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of fun garden stuff to look forward to in 2022. Kind of starting with our garden classes. We've actually become quite well known for our garden classes and the information that we share with the community. And usually in January, we start out with the indoor things, the house plants, some things like that. You do landscape design, you do wildflowers. You do a newcomer class just for those people that are new into the area, and face it, it's a challenge, but you could do it. You could do it. We'll show you that by the time we're all done with this. So videos are going to be big next year. So we just passed our millionth download on YouTube. I can't believe we've done that. QR codes, you're seeing those everywhere. We're going to have QR codes on our signage. So you can have a quick video that will link to a video. It says, let me describe this to you. So if you can't quite get to someone, it's so busy on a busy spring Saturday, you can talk to folks right there, and it'll be interactive. We're going to power up 30 seconds of the garden, just a nice peaceful therapy session, because we all need some more of that. 90-second garden tips. Our podcast, we just passed 25,000 downloads on our podcast. This blows my mind. And so it's very exciting stuff. The most exciting, though, I think of all, we just started this week, 2 company chaplains. And so a new service that we're going to have for our staff, our vendors, and their spouses, their partners, their family. We've hired 2 company chaplains. They're just taking care of the mental health of our staff. They're going to be here to help us through all this COVID stuff. Yes, they can do weddings, funerals. They can look after parents as a network, so they can check on a parent that's back in Maryland or wherever. So we're just very excited. The new things that are happening that we never thought of before COVID even ever hit.
Changed a lot of things.
It really has. Hey, so the garden tours, we should go to that. So let's go right into the gardens. This.
So this is our home. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just a neighborhood home. This is where people raise families. And so a lot of the families have been here for 20 years or more. And so we know all of our neighbors. There's not a lot of movements, a lot of teachers, policemen, firefighters. In fact, a firefighter built our house. And so we love everything about it. We've just modified it ever since. So it's not high end, it's not low end. It's just Joe average place to be. And we love living here.
We do really love living here. Like you said, we moved in about 20 some years ago. And I think the best thing that I've seen is just how the landscapes have changed throughout the years. The trees have gotten bigger. Some trees have died and had to go away. but it's really nice to see a mature neighborhood and the landscapes in them. And this is our sanctuary. This is where we come to rest, to gather our thoughts, to enjoy each other's company. So it truly is our sanctuary.
So the kids have long since moved out. So, and they're on their own. They're all local. I got a son in the Army. He's over in like Fort Hood, East Texas, but everyone else is here. And so, but we're still enjoying this. So back when the kids were here, we had lawns back here. You played soccer, lots of, you played ball. We've broken several front windows, garage door windows and stuff, just part of raising kids. But as it changed, we've changed, we pulled the lawn out and now it's all patios. You should show off
Right.
how
So
the courtyards are.
you bet. We have made a lot of changes. And the thing that we really use our yard in the morning, and we like to use it in the evening, the nighttime as
best light,
well.
yeah.
So we garden to that end, designing for morning sun and evening sun. And we just really enjoy it out here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so this, we've taken a silverberry and we've just kind of done this underplanting. So the lawn's all gone, all patio. We started with kind of a red brick. We were matching the front patio, and then we moved to this tumbled kind of brick kind of thing. And we're trying to create this, was open and expansive. Now we're trying to make it more intimate and attracting. Again, we love birds. So hummingbirds love hanging out up here. Butterflies love hanging out up here. And so you're seeing a lot of that different transition. You see over here, we put a fountain in. So the stem wall, it's there only for decoration. That's it. Just to bring the eye forward, because our neighbor's got a beautiful yard. And back, she's got a lawn and we had a lawn. It was great, felt good. But now we want to make it feel smaller, more intimate, more private. And so we put the fountain in here just running just for the small birds. They love hanging out every morning. You can find hummingbirds. Last winter, we had a row of robins taking turns, taking a bath in the fountain. It's just wild what you see up here.
But we kind of really tried to create that secret garden out here in our front patio. And one of the main ways we did that was using some big trees to create a wall. So these are Spartan junipers, a great screen tree for our area. Junipers love it here. They just grow beautifully. And this really gives us a super block from the street, so that when we're out here, people can't drive by and look at it.
It's hard to read the paper in your PJs in the morning and know that your neighbors can kind of looking down on you. It's just, that's not quite as private. It's not what we wanted. But we've kind of changed it from lawn to this kind of feeling. So lots of flowers in the containers.
Lots of flowers. We really tried to bring color into the yard. We use trees and shrubs in the pots, but then we love to use annual color around them. And that way you keep it always looking fresh. It looks bright and you can enjoy it any time of the year with that.
We love anchoring our containers, our gardens with a perennial, and then accessorizing with annuals. Even this, we should show them this little trick here.
What's that?
Back over here, this, I know we're kind of off script a little bit, but you'll see this.
Did we do that?
This is a rainbow ascot euphorbia. And so it's an evergreen perennial. It comes back, looks like this all the time. But we just simply, oh, it's not going to come out. Oh, here, I got this right here. So we just raised this pot. We just buried the pot in the ground with a perennial. We put annuals in front of it. Just an easy way to add quick color into the gardens, and it still feels private and secret. And so time lawn. It's time lawn doesn't need to be mowed. It just always looks like this. So we should show you what the neighbors, family, and friends see when they kind of come in. This is the private piece. Let's show you what it looks like from the street level. Follow me. Hey, so as you're walking your dog down the street or you're driving by and neighbors are trying to find our home, I want it to be secret. I don't want you to be able to see, but just a whole block of green, that's not so good. So we've layered it with these Russian sage, which have been spectacular all summer long. We layered it down to these autumn sage, which hummingbirds and butterflies are on these all the time. So we've created this garden that even if you're driving down the street, you're going to notice this and go, oh, they might own a garden center, and they do. And so we've strategically tried to block the road noise, the planes, the neighbors, so we have this secluded place. Then as you walk through, we'll say hi to you when you finally get to this stage, but we're just meant to be pretty from the street and even prettier as you enjoy the front yard, but the backyard is really spectacular. Let's show you what that looks like. Follow me. So this is our side patio. It's how we get down the stairs to the back patio, back doors. These were all cedar, rotten cedar steps. So they were rotting out pecky cedars, what they used to use 6x6s. And so we replaced all that with this block that's here. And so it's more secure. And we have a lot of parties in the backyard as guests kind of decide they want to leave. This is an easy way for them to escape. There's lighting. We're using plants that are a little lighter that reflect the moonlight and stuff, but it defines welcome. Come on into our backyard.
And to kind of continue with that secret garden look that we're going for, we have some huge Cecil Bruner roses that
Those are
were
crazy.
actually here when we moved
Yeah, they
in.
were. Yeah.
So these are old roses, and we've hacked them back many a time, and they are still beautiful and gorgeous. So this gives us privacy from our neighbor, which she appreciates and we appreciate. And then we also have, coming down the stairs, all kinds of herbs that we've planted through the years: lavender, chives, mint, oregano, rosemary. And it's really close to the kitchen, so I can kind of run out the front door, collect my herbs, and off we go to cook and barbecue in the backyard.
Nothing better than fresh herbs, and every step has got its own herb. And so we've just kind of we took basically lemons and turned them into lemonade. So your side yard is not the greatest. So welcome to our home. Here we go. Let's show you the backyard. So in the beginning, this backyard, no landscaping whatsoever. It's just this big muddy slope that came down. And so you see we've got lots of terraces, lots of patios have been built out. Some of them pretty tall. We've raised them up 6-7 feet to get them level. And really it was mud and the dogs dragging into the house. We needed to control that if we were truly going to enjoy this backyard. It wasn't fenced. And so we've added all of that all back here just over the last few years.
Right. And now it's become a beautiful place to entertain. We have all kinds of family events back here, friends over all the time. We have a barbecue. We do s'mores. You have your hot tub. And we have, most amazing thing at all, beautiful sunsets.
Yeah, we love entertaining. And so the patio, we purposely went with maybe it's a little bit older block, but it's been here 20 years. But we went with the zigzag pattern, and then we went with this negative edge. So let's show them the garden. Shall we walk out? So you're seeing this goes out, this is as wide as the house, and then it goes right out over here, and we're using this negative edge. We're using gardens, containers, benches, artwork to define where the edge is, and then we overlook. All these gardens are meant to be enjoyed from this top view. So we've layered everything down through the pond. So the pond was hand dug. The patio was hand dug. We brought everything back here with wheelbarrows, no tractors. We couldn't get them back here to bring all the fill in. And so it's a passion of love. And so it's a recirculating pond. We don't have fish in there. We just have, basically we chlorinate it. We want it to be deep, mysterious. It's maybe 2.5 feet deep, but the birds love it. It attracts frogs with us. So we actually used the natives that were here already. So the oaks, ceanothus, cliff rose, the patchy plumes, they were here already. We simply added to them. They anchored the entire gardens, and then we accessorized with more native. So it looks like this all the time without any care. It takes care of itself on purpose. And so we're trying to go with very low care. The front yard is higher care type. That's where we do our gardening. And then back here with our containers, we do some gardening. But really, this is meant to be, we're going to throw a party this weekend. We're going to have the whole company over to have, and their spouses, their partners. Let's come over, and it's instantly ready to be enjoyed. That's what we're trying to do with the backyard. And so we can come home, and it's easy to just enjoy it without a lot of work to it. We might prune it a couple times a year, if that, but it looks like this kind of all the time.
Yeah, so it's a super easy yard to maintain, with what we love about it. We have had to put in several raised beds because of the slope of the property. If we were going to grow anything in a level surface, we put, I was counting, what, 6?
Yeah,
9?
maybe more. I've lost track. It's a lot of block that we've used.
A lot of raised beds, but we grow a lot of really fun things in them, perennials, trees, shrubs. We even use it kind of as our test garden. So when we have a new plant at the garden center, a vendor's like, you got to try this plant. We'll take it home and try it in our yard, because literally it can grow in our yard. It could grow anywhere.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest places to grow we've farmed all over the county. And this is one of the hardest places to garden. It's a north slope. It's a higher elevation. We're overlooking Prescott, so it's higher than most, 5,700 foot or so. And so snow will pile up back here in the winter. It's kind of hard it drowns a lot of things. We've got water flowing through, because water flows off this hillside. We're trying to control all that. So we've killed a lot of plants testing things out, but we figured out how to make them grow too. And so there are test gardens before we have them come to the garden center. Really, we rain harvest off the roof line. So 4-inch perforated pipe goes through it's a passive rain harvest system, goes through the ground, hydrates the soil, then it dumps into the pond, and then overflows the pond, and has a lower pond where the strawberry gardens are. It's very sophisticated. But all the gardens are meant to be looked from the deck, the patio. They're made to be looked down on and enjoyed. But they also look good from down below, and I want to show you that. So if you got a slope to your yard going slightly up, you can do the same thing. Let's show you what that looks like. Follow us.
Okay.
So this garden, it looks beautiful even from this lower angle. You got probably, I don't know, a 15-foot rise up to the back patio. Still looks good.
Wonderful. You'll notice we have a cedar fence around the yard, because that's what the HOA said we could have. And we had dogs. We had a big German Shepherd when we put the fence up. So we definitely needed that nice fence. And also, it serves the purpose of keeping the javelina and the coyotes out of the yard.
And so you notice in the front yard, there was an electric fence. You probably didn't see it, but about a foot off the ground. That's what we use to keep the javelina, which is our nemesis. Keeps them, pack rats, keeps them out of the front yard. And then here we used a larger retaining block. So you have a pipe block. They make them here locally, right downtown. They make an 80-pound block that's engineered to have retaining block to hold back all the soil. We find it's more stable, less problematic. And then we wheelbarrowed, or quite honestly, any bag that's broken at the garden center, I schlep it home. And I fill up these beds and top them off over the years. That's kind of how we filled up all these beds.
Sure. So we also brought home a lot of mulch.
Yeah.
A lot of the cedar bark, because I love nature in my yard. So I know rocks are nature, but they're very sterile.
Yeah.
So we use a beautiful cedar bark that we spread around the yard. And it's nice because the birds love it. We kind of created this to bring in the birds, and the birds love the mulch.
They do love it. So we purposely went away from rock in the backyard and went more natural. And we actually compost right here on the soil. So we take clippings, they never go off. They kind of stay here. We cut it up and mulch it up, and then we top dress it with cedar bark. And the birds love it. It smells good. It looks good. We top dress it about once a year, kind of add to it. But really, these gardens they were designed to be looked at from the deck. And you gotta see the gardens from the deck. Let's go see those.
So now we're up here on the deck. It's pretty high up here, and we have beautiful views, and we love to have dinners out here. When the war evenings aren't too hot, but that was the perfect time to do that. And the garden looks so different from up here. There's so much to see up here. We do a lot of planting for pollinators. We want to bring pollinators in, butterflies, hummingbirds. So we've planted mimosas, which boy, hummingbirds and butterflies.
Love them.
It's just alive with them through the season. We also have a lot of salvia. We have grasses. A lot of different things to bring in nature and the pollinators.
So the deck has got a shade structure that comes back and forth, umbrella kind of thing, fire pits, comfortable kind of rocking chairs. Just fun for a more intimate setting. This is the deck. This is where we come to. We got a separate barbecue up here. We got a built-in down there, which is super fancy. But sometimes you don't walk down there. You just kind of stay up here, grill, and have a nice backyard barbecue. So there's a lot going on up here. But here you can see the water features, all the gardens meant to be enjoyed from this angle, and overlooking the mimosas are just, those things are alive in the summer with so many monarchs and swallowtails and it's almost ridiculous. It's hilarious. So here's a few things that we've just learned over the years. Thought we'd just sum all this thing up and let you know, kind of save you a few shortcuts on what to do or what not to do.
Sure. So one of the first things I think that we learned early on, do not be afraid to redesign your garden.
Yeah.
Change it. Make it yours. Make it how you want to use it. It should be comfortable to you.
If you've moved into a house that someone had for 10 years before you, we bought this, not new. We moved in afterwards. And we made it our own. So don't be afraid to change it up and remodel it like you would a kitchen. And then we've got the 10% rule. So we purposely try to replace 10% of the plants in our gardens, just so we always have something fresh, something new, something interesting here. So many times those junipers up by the street got overgrown and old, and now they're bringing your house down, and they make your house look old. You need some freshness in there. So don't be afraid to, when that Russian sage gets weedy and overseeds and is running everywhere, pull it out. Put a new one for $20-$30. You can have a brand new one that's in your set for 10 years.
Oh, that is true. And also, it's really good if you're redoing the landscapes, redo your pots, your ceramic pots that you're using out front as well, because maybe you change your house color. Maybe you bring in a new patio set and you want to switch out your pots. So take your old ones down to DAV or someplace and donate them. People can use them. But buy some beautiful new pots and keep your house updated.
Some of the new styles, I mean, sometimes the styles from the 1990s make your house look like you're still living in the 90s. There's so many new things out there. So perennials too. Don't forget, anchor your gardens with perennials. So you're planting them once and then you're done, and then accessorize with some more. Instead of all annual beds, you can blend the two together, and it works so well in the mountains of Arizona.
I agree.
Start small.
Yeah.
Kind of start with the driveway, come to the front patio, then design your back patio, your decks. Don't go the whole landscape where you get completely overwhelmed. Start small and then build out from there. And then remember, plants are for your enjoyment. Your yard isn't for your plants' enjoyment, for your enjoyment. If you got an ugly thing, dead, dying ugly, rip that thing out of there. It's not worthy of your space. Go get something that's beautiful for yourself.
And the other way you can really bring down your maintenance is by using more native plants or plants that act like natives. And then we have a full range of those, and we've used them widely in our yard. So it definitely can save you time and energy if you're using those plants that are a little more low maintenance.
The whole backyard is hardly watered and cared for because they're all just that native low care stuff. And then irrigation. See, the big mistake a lot of folks make, their home builder put one irrigation valve in. They're trying to control the whole thing. Here, we're controlling this with 8 different valves. So the containers are all on their own. The trees and shrubs are on their own. The raised beds are on their own irrigation, so we can hone that irrigation in. So it's easier the plants are happier and they take less water.
And then don't forget those little extra special touches that make your yard what you want it to be. The barbecues, the spas, fire pits, just a beautiful little place to sit out in your own little secret garden.
Yeah. So, and then nice doesn't mean it has to take a lot of water,
Oh,
take a
no.
lot of time. It can be low care and low water if you're blending this thing right.
Definitely. Well, I hope you enjoyed our tour, and I hope you learned some things and you were inspired. And come talk to us.
Yeah, we are going to try to do this a little more, not this full-on format, but shorter snippets, more video, 90 seconds, here's how to garden kind of tips. We have full-on classes that we do, but we're trying to get better videos for us locally right here. And so if you want to see those, just hit subscribe at the bottom of whatever format you're listening to, or type a comment. I do think we should also get to our garden questions, and we're going to take that in just a second. So
Okay.
now's the time for live interaction. You've got garden questions. We're answering those right now. We are? Oh, hey, so we sure hope you all enjoyed that tour of our gardens. We are live, so of course we never have sirens going by our house until you go live. So that's just the way live works. So we're in our backyard. We're so happy that we recorded this yesterday. We've been desperately trying to put these pieces together. And of course it's raining right now, so it would have been terrible to have this live today. But hey, you got to see our gardens. We did have a question from someone. Ken, what was that? It was mulch. What is top dressing?
Yeah, what was top dressing?
So basically we have two kinds of mulch. We use ourselves. Can you hear me through that? Of course you got an ambulance or something going right by. So we use shredded cedar bark here at our house. And the reason we like that is it stays in the garden longer, smells good, and cedar tends to repel bugs. There's excuse me, there's also composted mulch. That one we do top dress quite a bit too, but mainly when we're planting a new tree or shrub, then we'll top dress with about a 2 to 3 inch layer. Right now we're top dressing our gardens with a 2 to 3 inch layer of either mulch, shredded cedar or composted mulch, mainly because as winter comes, the soil expands. When it freezes, it expands and then thaws. It does this freeze thaw, so it'll tend to crack or just it destroys roots at the top levels. So we're trying to insulate those. So that's how we use mulch. We even top dress our containers. I put some 2-3 inch layer of shredded cedar on top of our gardens. You'll plant a garden in a new pot, some new pansies, and I'll spread some cedar bark around that.
So can you mulch too much? Can you
Yeah.
over mulch?
So the negative with mulch, with your trees, mainly with trees, if you, sorry, we're just back here enjoying this is a big project to pull off. Just enjoying a little glass of wine.
That's some mosquitoes.
Cheers. So, don't put mulch next to your bark of your trees. It'll tend to crown rot. So, if the bark, how do you explain that? So, just don't let soil and mulch touch the bark of your trees, because you can get some bacterial things that happen. Keep it out.
Get some
So,
space.
yeah, let it breathe is the main thing.
Right.
What else do we have, Ken?
Okay, TL wants to know,
TL.
he loves the start small concept, but
Yeah.
how do you plan for watering needs when adding on to an irrigation system?
So how do you plan on watering needs for an irrigation system?
That's a big one.
And we always have new plants that we're introducing here, and we're watering. Like the backyard is where we're at right now is the backyard. It's all native, so it's very low water. So even June, it's desperately hot, It's dry, it's windy. Maybe every 10 days we're watering. But what I'll do is we'll add that new plant into that system. We'll put it on the drip system so it runs with a regular cycle, and then we'll go hand watering an extra cycle somewhere in there. So we'll supplement hand watering with the drip system to do a hybrid kind of thing. Until it gets rooted, it takes about a season for it to finally, those roots to reach out and get going. What about flowers?
Well, flowers, we run ours on a different valve, right?
Right.
So they're running completely different. So things in the pots, the containers are completely different
Right.
from trees and shrubs. They're on their own system. But also, as things mature, trees get bigger, shrubs get bigger. You can move those irrigation heads out, so they're getting water out where they need to be.
Yeah.
You can also add irrigation heads if you need to. If it needs more water, you're adding heads to accommodate that.
Also, a lot of the native stuff, once it's mature, we just cut it off the water. We just bend that thing back, the emitter that's sitting there, we bend it back, tape it off. And I tape it off thinking, just in case the plant needs it, we can water it again. But we never seem to untape it. It always stays off. So Russian sage, and the agaves, the yuccas, they never get watered again. So Elaeagnus, you go on and on.
Right. Especially with our yard, we have a lot of heavy clay kind of in the soil, and it faces north. So we don't really have to go back and water. Occasionally, when we go through a really long period of time without moisture, we'll do that. But
So I think, Ken, someone asked what those plants were, the
Yes.
autumn sage
Yes.
out in the
Yep.
front there. So someone asked, what was the shorter plant out on the road? So we had autumn sage, what's also called Salvia gregii. At the garden center right now, we've got purple, pink, red, a new one that's kind of an apricot with pink, or
oh
apricot
yeah, it's
with
the
pink,
multicolor one.
multicolors, so
Really
some new
pretty.
varieties.
Yeah.
We just had some great big purple ones arrive today. And so there's lots of autumn sage you can plant now. And they call them autumn sage because they look so good in the autumn.
Yeah.
Then they'll finally, think, yeah, that's it. You're poking at me. So then finally it'll lose its leaves and kind of just twiggy in the yard, comes back out, lets it bloom again by April, something like that.
And animal resistant. So
Very.
the javelina, we have them up front where the javelina
Yeah.
could get to them because we don't have the electric
Right.
fence up there. And I see where they are occasionally digging around in the soil, but they never bother the salvia.
I noticed this morning they had dug through that cedar bark up the front beds because they'd walked down the sidewalk, obviously, not to enjoy the flowers, just to dig things up. And so I'll probably go through with a bug killer, a grub killer, because they're after the grubs in the soil. So obviously I got some food source for them. I'll just kill that food source off, put some Repels-All, there's a liquid or a granular repellent. So I'll mix the two, kill the bugs, and then put a repellent down, and the javelina will go away. Make sure the electric fence is completely on and active. So anything else?
Yes, actually, two more. Mike wants to know, he wants to plant thornless blackberries.
Awesome.
He used to have blackberries in California and they sprouted everywhere.
Yeah.
Will they do the same thing here?
So Mike is asking, just in case you missed that on YouTube or Facebook, thornless blackberries, which we do have up against the fence. We've got raspberries and blackberries against the fence. He had them in California and they started to sucker and sprout. They're called brambles. They tend to run and they come up where you don't want them, or sometimes they come up where you do want them. For us, I want them up against the fence to soften up all that fence. I don't want this to feel like a prison. I want to feel like a secret garden, a special place, so that the berries and grapes tend to attract birds. The grandkids and I will eat until our faces are just black, our hands are just black,
Vincent
and
will
we're
too.
almost sick. Vincent loves them too.
Vincent gets more berries than we do.
Yeah, and so I just keep them back against the fence. I use a trellis, kind of keep them back there, and when they come up where I don't want them, I just kind of like pull them up. I don't let them. Same with the Russian sage. We don't let them run and sucker. We just keep them in their base, and once they do tend to get overrun, they get too old, then we tend to dig them up and start over again. So we'll add a fresh one. Keep them under control. Good question, Mike.
Denise
Yeah.
says, can I still feed roses that are in pots?
So Denise, Can you feed roses that are in pots? We fed all of our roses. We fed
We did.
before that last rain, not this rain, the one earlier this week. We fertilized everything in the yard and in the. We used all-purpose plant food, and I put humic around the outer perimeters. So humic feeds the soil, so the plants want to root deeper because this has been a stressful year for plants, and then the food feeds the plant, so you get better buds next spring. So we fed the aspens, the birds, the roses, the vines, the natives. I'm really worried about my native junipers, it's the native evergreens. So we really fertilize those well because this swing in temperatures from drought to really wet, it's hard on them. And I'm seeing a little bit of flagging on some of our junipers. So we'll have a separate video on that. Maybe even hit subscribe or probably hit subscribe on whatever format you're tuning in on. And when that airs, you'll kind of be notified. But we'll show you how to treat that when I finally treat the evergreens, how to take care of bark beetle, ips beetle, flathead borers, tick borers. There's all kinds of borers that are really bad for evergreens, but their favorite food is the natives in your yard. Yeah.
So just you mentioned humic. Would you use that in containers or just keep it for in ground?
Yeah, humic they're both granulars. Mostly you don't need humic in containers because you've got so much peat moss. If you're using a good potting soil in your containers, you really don't need to add more of that because the humic activates all the organics that are in your ground. It's more important for in-ground like trees, shrubs, deeper rooted things. It's better fat for your containers. If you got something stressed, I would say root and grow. We make a compost tea. We basically boil humic to make a liquid. It's faster acting, milder. It's maybe for transplant shock, but it works great on houseplants. The best cacti food you've ever seen, and containers. Yeah.
So Mike's back with another question.
Mike, you are on fire, man.
Speaking of fire, he wants to know about the flamethrower redbud and what is the expected size versus, say, a Merlot or other redbuds.
Right. So redbuds. So redbuds, I'm not sure we have any in stock right now, do we?
None.
None. So that's a spring item. So it's a limited thing. We'll bring in several hundred early spring. So we'll start shipping February through March, April, somewhere in there. Kind of depends on the weather when it breaks. But we'll have those. We'll bring them in dormant, so they all start to bloom at the same time all the other red buds in town bloom. So we bring them in to acclimate them. That'll be after the new year. We'll have, Oklahomas, Avondales, Eastern, Oklahoma, Ruby Falls, Flamethrower. There'll be probably a dozen varieties of redbuds. The Flamethrower, Forest Pansy, there's several. I can keep going. There's a lot of varieties. The exciting thing about that one, it just has that light color, that bright flower. It's really pretty to contrast when it's in bloom. The fall color, I'm not sure what the fall color, probably an orangey.
Orangey yellow. But I think height-wise, it's about the same as
They're
the rest
all
of
the
the
same.
red buds.
Yeah,
Right?
mid-teens.
That's
That was
his
the question.
Oh, yeah. It's a tree. It's a small tree. So mid-teens and kind of
15 to 18.
all the red buds are kind of ball shaped like that. Maybe a little flatter like that.
It looks
That's a
really
good question.
pretty. It has kind of a more of a yellow leaf to it. So just a really nice, if you have a lot of green or a lot of blue in your landscape,
It's tremendous.
it's nice to bring in some different colors.
Yeah. And just a quick redbud story. The Western redbud or Mexican redbud, they're both the same thing. Generally, it's a shrub form, comes in multi-stemmed. We love to go up to Lake Powell. That's our getaway, our we need to go on vacation, but it's close enough to go to right now without time zone changes. We'll run up there. We were up to Rainbow Bridge, which is the big span, it's about 50 miles up lake. You can only get there by boat. You get out of your boat, dock, you walk about a mile, you get to Rainbow Bridge. On the back side, there's a native redbud sitting right there in all of its glory. Ancient, probably 100 years old. It had to be 20 feet tall. Right there, and I tried to take some pictures with Rainbow Bridge above it. You can't capture that kind of majesty on film, it's just impossible. But they're native, they grow wild here.
Okay, Leela wants to know, since we worked so hard putting this on, are we going to have a class tomorrow?
Oh yeah, there's a class.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely a class.
Are you
This
teaching?
I'm not teaching. Doug Arthur's going
Doug.
to teach.
Doug is
Yeah,
back.
Doug's coming back. So he's one of our retired hardcore gardeners. He does a lot of our consults. He's teaching the class tomorrow at 9:30.
Cool.
Be about an hour long. So feel free. It's free. Feel free to join us. Again, it'll be live.
Autumn colors best enjoyed at home.
So it's the best autumn colors you could plant now. That's tomorrow's class. It should be pretty nice. The class, the staff was putting it all together. We came
bet it's
here.
pretty.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap this up
Okay,
with Colleen,
Lain, great.
who said, I learned Arizona gardening from you and your staff,
Okay.
and so appreciate it.
Cool.
Oh,
We
thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much for.
Yeah.
It's great to have fans that tune in. I tell you what, I've been doing this. Lisa just had her 29th anniversary, work anniversary yesterday. We posted on Facebook. So we came back to Prescott, Arizona. We're in a corporate move to Northern California. A corporate move is going to take us even farther away from home. We said we have a decision: stick with corporate that takes us away farther and farther away, or come back home. We decided to come back home and just incorporate ourselves in the family
A great
business.
decision.
It was a great decision, and we love going to work. It's been 30 years. Every day I love going to work and helping customers because we cater to great customers. Gardeners are just so, it's a social thing. It's fun going to work and just talking gardening for a living.
And I think we really, really, truly want people to successfully garden
Yeah.
here. And it is a challenge. It is a little bit different.
Oh,
But that is one of our main goals, to help you be successful gardening here in Prescott, Arizona.
and so the third generation is coming up into the garden center. So they're now trained. They're in their 20s, 30s. They're coming in. So the kids are working there. So here's to a fabulous 2022 garden.
Yeah.
May your fall be bright, and may your spring flowers be even brighter. There we go. Thanks for tuning in, you all. Appreciate that.